Are you someone that works out from home and only has access to kettlebells? Are you looking for the best exercises to build a stronger back? If you are, then this video is for you. My name is Dr. Mike and I'm a physical therapist providing tips on how to improve your strength and increase your longevity with your body. In today's video, I wanted to share with you my top 4 exercises that you can use using only one kettlebell to help improve your back strength. Now, if you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button below to never miss a video. Let's get started. Now, the first exercise we're gonna start with is the kettlebell single arm row. And the reason why I love this exercise is it will isolate one lat muscle at a time. Most of the time we see that there are imbalances in the shoulder, especially if you're dealing with an injury. So using a kettlebell row can be a great way to help balance out the strength between both sides. So you're gonna start doing this exercise by keeping a wide base of support. So now for the purpose of this video, I'm using my right arm to work on this exercise. And so you're essentially standing over the kettlebell and you can either place your opposite hand that you're gonna use to support yourself either on your knee or even the forearm over your knee, okay? Now, you're going to have the kettlebell right underneath you, and my thumb is actually facing up, facing the camera here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm starting with my arm in an extended position, and I'm going to pull my elbow back and think about reaching my arm up towards the ceiling, and then slowly lower it back down. Once again, I'm gonna raise that elbow up, keeping it nice and close to the body, and allow it to slowly lower back down. So what I'm looking for in this exercise is I want to eliminate any rotation of the lower back, and I really want you to focus on getting some nice, strict motion out of the arm, keeping your body nice and still, okay? Now, showing you from the side, once again, a nice wide base of support. I'm reaching down for the kettlebell. I'm supporting myself with that opposite arm. I'm pulling that elbow up and back towards the ceiling, and then I'm lowering back down here, okay? If you do this correctly, you're gonna feel this all in your oblique and core muscles, specifically even your lats, okay? You can perform this for about 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions on each side. So you can't really talk about strengthening the back muscles if that doesn't include a deadlift. So we're going to work on the next exercise, which is the kettlebell deadlift. Now, you're going to start by standing over the kettlebell, and you're gonna reach down by bending your hips backward to grab the kettlebell. Now, you're gonna feel this a lot in the erectors, which are the smaller muscles that run up and down your spine. Also, you're gonna feel this a lot in your lats because you're trying to keep the kettlebell close to your body to prevent any excessive motion outside of your base of support. So you're standing up with the kettlebell, keeping it nice and close to your body. Keep in mind, I'm actually pulling my shoulder blades back, keeping tension through my lats versus allowing the kettlebell to allow my shoulders to round forward. I'm actually pulling those shoulder blades back so it creates a slight bend in the elbow, and I'm okay with that. Now with those hips, we want to think about reaching back, keeping those shins as vertical as possible. One of the mistakes you'll see people make here is they'll actually squat down and they'll do like a kettlebell squat versus a kettlebell deadlift. The key is to isolate a lot of the back muscles. You're obviously going to be filling it in your posterior chain, so your hamstrings and your glutes. But what's really going to be working, especially at the top, is those lats. So you want to keep that kettlebell close to your body the entire time versus just allowing the kettlebell to drop you down, okay? So you're constantly focusing on your position. You're constantly focusing on hinging or bending at the hips, letting the kettlebell drop between the legs, and then standing back up completely. If you complete 3 to 4 sets, 10 to 12 repetitions at a time, you will feel right away how much this isolates a lot of the back muscles. So now that we've taught you 2 exercises that are a little easier, especially for beginners to work on using the kettlebell, We're gonna use these last two exercises to work on more dynamic movements, more of a fast, quick movements that can really train the upper back. So the next movement we're working on is the kettlebell hang snatch. The reason why I like this is it's going to train a lot of your rear delts, your posterior rotator cuff, a lot of the upper back muscles, which are really good and which we need for posture, okay? So you're starting with the kettlebell in the hanging position. And the reason why I like the hang, because it removes the squat or taking it from the ground when we're performing this. Often we find, especially people who are new to training with kettlebells, is when you're dropping below parallel or you're having to hold positions or load below parallel on the bottom of a squat, you really have to be mindful of the form and your technique. And so we can remove that aspect and allow you to really focus on that back training by having you perform this in a hang position. So you're starting off by picking up the kettlebell and you're holding it in the hang position. Same thing with the deadlift. You're holding it with your lats engaged and the kettlebell close to your body. Now what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna focus on actually hinging my hips backward as I'm using the momentum of my hips to eventually flip the kettlebell up. I'm gonna lower it back down with control. Once again, you're using your hips and you're going overhead. Now, one thing to think about is that as you're going and you're hinging your hips, I kind of think about internally rotating that shoulder so that thumb is facing behind me. And then as I'm using the momentum of my hips, I'm pulling up on the kettlebell as it raises up overhead, and I'm keeping an active shoulder. And now my palm is actually facing away from me. So as the kettlebell goes underneath me, my palm faces down. As it comes overhead, it actually faces away from me. So I'll show you kind of in faster motion, okay? I have a wide base of support. We never really want to be narrow here because then that really challenges our balance and it can really throw things off. So notice that I am wider. Also keep in mind, I am barefoot because I purposely like to go barefoot, especially on these movements, because it trains my balance and improves my foot awareness so that I know when I'm rocking, I can feel everything beneath me moving, and I know how to correct it by using a lot of my foot muscles. And so I'm going into this nice swing and I'm bringing the kettlebell overhead, extending the elbow, trying to keep a active wrist, not extending your wrist backwards, that's not gonna feel good. But most importantly, lowering it back down slowly. Okay, when you get good, you can go a little bit faster by allowing the kettlebell to drop from the top. But if you're just learning this movement, I would focus on controlling the movement back down and then allowing yourself to get comfortable with using the momentum of your hips to get the kettlebell going in this upward direction. So you're using your hips, you're pulling your elbow nice and high as you can, feeling all the muscles of the back of the shoulder and the rear deltoids working, and then going overhead. And you're gonna feel a lot of those back muscles working extremely hard. So the fourth exercise that you can use to help strengthen your back muscles is going to be perfect because now we're tying in all the concepts that we learned from the first three exercises. So we taught you how to deadlift, we taught you how to work on these hang snatches. Now we're gonna tie it together and work on the last exercise, which is the kettlebell swing, okay? Now, just like in the deadlift, we're gonna be holding the kettlebell close to our body, keeping some active lats. So I kind of think about bringing my chest forward versus allowing my shoulders to round, okay? So I'm keeping tension in my lats there. Now, when you're starting off with this exercise, I kind of think about reaching those hips back and hinging at the hips. Notice you'll see the momentum of the kettlebell start to move forward, and I'm not doing any pulling right now. This is all simply using the momentum of my hips to kind of use that kettlebell as like a pendulum. So it's moving forward and back, okay? Also notice, just like I've said in the past, I'm not getting squatty here where I'm bending my knees. I try my best to keep my shins vertical and I'm reaching those hips back, really focusing on filling the glutes, filling the hamstrings, okay? Where we start to incorporate more back muscles here is we start to elevate that kettlebell higher and higher, okay? So when I'm just working on the swings, you're already gonna feel your lower back really start to light up. Those are a lot of your erectors, which are very important. If you're trying to reduce any back pain, you wanna keep those muscles strong, okay? But as you start to go higher, this is what we call more Russian swings, where you're swinging the kettlebell at eye level, and now you're gonna start to incorporate more of your lats, more of your mid back, as you're allowing the kettlebell to move forward, okay? Also keep in mind, I'm not bending my elbows. The elbows actually stay fairly straight, and I'm using the drive and the momentum of my hips as I go into hip extension to bring the kettlebell up. Now where you really start to incorporate more of your upper back muscles, even your rear delts again, and even your deltoids, is when you move on from doing a Russian kettlebell swing to now an American kettlebell swing, meaning you're going fully overhead. Now those of you who have issues with shoulder pain or shoulder impingement or have had a shoulder surgery, obviously this is probably not a good exercise for you to start with, because it's going to require you to have more range of motion, especially at the top. So if you are one of those, that's okay for you to focus on this smaller range to still get a good back workout. With this exercise, I'm working on 3 to 4 sets, and I'm trying to work on probably anywhere between 15 to 20 repetitions, okay? So once again, I'm bringing the kettlebell up. I'm starting by getting some momentum in my hips, hinging at the hips, reaching back. And then when I feel comfortable, I'm starting to have a slight backward lean, but most importantly, I'm raising the kettlebell up higher and higher using my back muscles. Then if I feel like, you know what, I don't have any shoulder injuries, I'm not worried about that, we could then start to incorporate some full American kettlebell swings as we're raising up higher and higher, okay? Now, one of the big mistakes I see people make with the American kettlebell swing is that they're moving the arms and the weight just moves so far away from them. And so they get caught in this position where they're trying to lean back as the weight is pulling them forward. And if they can't counteract that balance and that stability through their core, it leads them to compensating in other areas of their body. So I like to, just like when we teach, when we're lifting objects off the ground, is to keep that kettlebell close to your body. So as it's coming overhead, I think about keeping it close, and I'm thinking about pulling my elbows backward as I'm going overhead. Okay, once I'm overhead, I'm still active through my shoulders. I don't just completely go soft in my elbows. I'm really focusing on staying active throughout the entire motion, okay? So I'm picking up the kettlebell, I'm using the momentum of my hips, and then I'm trying my best to keep the kettlebell close to my body versus allowing it to get too far away, and you'll feel like you're really starting to lose your balance and your coordination with this movement, okay? All right, guys, there you have it. Some of my top favorite exercises that I like using when I'm using a kettlebell to help strengthen the back muscles. Now, if you found value in this video or there's a bit of information that resonated with you, I'd appreciate it to support my channel by liking this video and subscribing to the channel to never miss a video. If there is a topic or something that you would like for me to cover, please leave it in the comment box below. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one.